Good afternoon, everyone. We are from Wilson, Samuels, and Rosser Associates, and we're here today presenting a marketing strategy for LG Electronics. So to start our executive summary, right now we're doing very well in emerging markets in Brazil, Russia, India, and China. We're leading the way in these markets. However, we need new strategies to enter into already developed markets in the United States and eventually in Europe.
So our strategy in entering into these markets is to have a concentrated marketing strategy, which will include unique political segments and different, different marketing strategies that will hit those urban markets, those urban buyers.
And in addition, we also really want to focus on our history of having corporate responsibility and remaining on focusing on corporate responsibility in different communities.
So as far as our competing markets are concerned, right now LG competes in the personal consumer electronics market as well as the mobile communications market. The graph over here, the first line that you'll see in blue, the dots, shows how we're performing in developed nations, and the line at the bottom shows how we're performing in emerging nations as well. So as you can tell by the graph, there's amazing opportunity to enter into developed markets. So we feel like we should definitely target and enter into that market just to tap into that industry.
As I said previously, the current state of the companies that we're doing very well in the BRIC markets, we want to capitalize on what we're good at. So right now we're really excelling at research and development and our localization strategies. Going forward in the future, we want to focus on those and also continue to remain competitive with our price and continue to work on our research and development.
So to see if the industry was attractive and how profitable it was, these are the 4 questions that we pretty much asked ourselves. But the major issue that we had is it a realistic place for us to enter? So looking at the next slide, this is just Porter's 5 forces model, and it shows the threats to the industry. So the biggest component is just going to be over here, looking at the rivalry amongst our competitors. So right now, we definitely have high competition, and we need to focus on a strong competitive analysis as well as R&D analysis to make sure that we can definitely enter this market. Also, we want to focus on the environmental trends of the industry. So economic and social are key, economic being the state of the economy. So right now, the housing market is declining. Stock is declining as well, so that may be a little bit of an issue for us as far as entering into the mobile communications industry, as well as social. We definitely want to focus on millennials because the millennial consumer buying behavior is definitely improving, and so is their buying spend.
So as my colleagues have outlined, the industry and the market is electronics and mobile phone. At the heart of a corporation and its sustainability is the research and experimental development department, R&D. What that basically is a department at a corporation comprised of engineers, think tanks, social scientists, and they all sit around and exchange ideas on how to redevelop their product, market it, and what have you. We've been able to use this in Brazil. We're finding out that, Brazilians really like soccer. Let's tap into how we could market a product, develop a product that aligns with that desire. The same thing in India, realizing that Indians like cricket. So let us again tap into that desire and design a product that aligns with it. As you can see, this chart basically explains the top 25 corporations in 2006. And our top 2 competitors in the U.S. being Sony and Samsung, as you can see, have large investments in their R&D department, and it has yielded positive ratios of profit. Our competitors, Keyline, Konka, Onida, Videocon, Sony, and Samsung. In the emerging market of China, our competitor Konka is not doing too well financially. They're on a decrease. As you can see, their profit and operating income from 2006 going into 2007 has produced a negative yield. But you can still see that they are investing in their R&D department. They're trying to develop a high-definition television series so they can market to the Chinese people. The other competitor, Keelan, is in a much worse financial situation. Their liabilities at the moment exceed their assets. It's due to the fact that the 2007 there was a change between digital TV or analog TVs moving into digital TVs, and this company kind of got trapped in the middle of being able to transition. But you can see that they're trying to invest in their R&D department to create that LCD television to be a competitor. Moving into the Indian market, we have Videocon. This competitor is stronger. They have local ability to understand the values of the people. This is just a breakdown of their profits from net sales from 2006 moving into 2007. You can see that there's an increase. Again, just a more intricate breakdown of the investment that they do in the particular segments of business. You can see that they invest heavily into their electronics industry, which makes it hard for us to compete with them. Again, investing in their R&D. The other competitor, Oneida, they invest heavily into brand building. So the Indian people, when they go to the market and they see Oneida, they're much more likely to buy that product because Oneida is a local company. They've established a brand there for years. Us being a foreign nation, a foreign company, moving into a foreign nation, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So moving into the developed nation, our number one competitor is Samsung, a heavyweight in the game. For the last 6 years, they've been number one in TV sales, LCD color TV sales. As you can see from this chart, they have 17.8% shares of TV in 2007. That's worldwide, and that's just one company. And on this side, you can see their R&D investment has increased from 2005, 2006, and 2007. So you can see that they're constantly trying to find ways to redevelop and redesign and reignite their products. Again, with their social responsibility, they have created programs to tap into the environment, making sure that their products are clean, safe for the atmosphere. This just breaks down the electronic and TV sales worldwide. You can see that Sony is leading the way, Samsung right behind, and LG trailing not too far thereafter. Again, the breakdown, you can see that they are increasing in profits from 2006 into 2007. Also, this is just a more intricate breakdown that they invest heavily into their electronics business, which LG is specializing in, which makes them a real strong competitor. Again, the focus on R&D investment has yielded profits, and you can see how it keeps increasing from 2005 into 2007.
So entering into the North American market, we really want to focus on the United States right now. So our strategy is to have kind of a niche or a concentrated approach and really focus on what makes America special. So when people think about the United States, there is a large focus on freedom. You have freedom of religion, which is not, a worldwide freedom. Freedom of speech, the right to vote, and a very special hip-hop culture that has influenced the globe. Our target market right now is going to be basically the millennials, so people in the age range from 18 to 35, middle and upper class people who can afford our sleek and innovative designs, and people who like to stay connected through social media, travel, and who are very interested in fashion as well. So one market we really want to focus on that has been untapped is the African American market. 74% of whites and 67% of Latinos believe that African Americans heavily influence mainstream culture, and that's something we want to really tap into and focus on. We want to do this by using the same localization techniques that we're really, really great at, These are techniques that have worked in the BRIC market, and we think will work in the African American market as well. Another important thing is going to be for us to really focus on corporate responsibility and with community centers, religion, which is important, and education. Again, tapping into African American consumer behavior, studies have shown that despite an economic downturn, which is especially prevalent right now in 2007, African Americans continue to heavily invest in entertainment and items such as cell phones, PCs, things of that nature. And in the past 14 years, African American buying power has increased more than any other demographic in the United States. It's increased 127%. So that's something we definitely want to take advantage of.
Studies also show that the target market that we just went over with you guys, the 18 to 35 age group, also transcends into the African American market.
And just to piggyback, the reason why we know these statistics in the first place is based off of an investment in a particular corporation's R&D department. They do surveys, statistics, data, and what have you, to be able to come up with these ideas.
And just to give a little bit more of a focus on hip hop, the vast majority of songs that are listened to on the radio in 2003 were by hip hop artists, people the age demographic that we're targeting to listen to that music more than any other type of music. And a great deal of today's clothing, sneakers, and other entertainment items are heavily influenced by hip hop culture.
Also, the latest phone we have out right now, which is the LG Chocolate, our primary focus for that phone was the MP3 feature. So we want to have subscriptions, which would be similar to an application of hip hop artists, which can kind of tie in both the products and when we're trying to do the marketing strategy.
A really key part of our strategy is to focus on corporate responsibility. While we're, tapping into these markets, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the things that are important to them. For example, religion. African Americans are among the most religious group in this country today. They also really focus on uplifting their communities through recreation centers and education. So we definitely want to be a part of that.
And this partnership would be unique to us versus our competitors such as Sony and Samsung, who don't practice that.
Just as my colleagues mentioned, the corporate responsibility aspect, we also want to make sure that we follow along with that, as we did in the emerging markets with building villages and whatnot.
Right. Again, to drive home the point about religion, we think it's really going to be huge. Right now, 87% of African Americans belong to a religious group, and Latinos are on the horizon. There's a heavy wave of immigration coming in, and they are also a highly religious group. Religion and technology, with the advent of mega churches reaching tens of thousands of congregations, technology is going to be really important with sound systems and monitors and things of that nature. We can really help support the religious community.
Yeah, it just helps our competitive advantage versus our competitors entering into this developed market.
Also, doing some research, we found that churches were indeed interested in joining with technology. They find that it's a great way to stay connected to their congregation, especially the youth, and a great way to also engage new people to join their congregation. So another group that we want to focus on in the United States is going to be the political aspect of it. So really celebrating American democracy. This election that's on the horizon right now is one of the biggest elections that we've seen in a very long time, and it's also an election that the youth has been more involved in than any election in the past. In fact, all types of media outlets are calling this the social networking election, with lots of opportunities for mobile use, through mobile polling, petitioning, communicating about grassroots organizations, getting out the vote, and promoting fundraising. In addition, text messaging and use of social media is the form of communication for the target group, that the age range that we're targeting right now. So taking advantage of this opportunity and all this buzz that's going on is going to be key.
Also, hip hop artists are very influential this year as far as promoting voting. So the Rock Your Vote campaigns and so forth. So that would kind of tie in to the hip hop music approach we're trying to implement as well.
And a way to do this, as my colleague said before, we want to focus on cell phone and mobile subscriptions, but we also think it would be a great idea to partner with nonpartisan organizations such as Rock the Vote, which was instrumental in getting out the young vote in 2007 and in the years preceding that. They've been huge in that, and they're also at the forefront of combining technology with, getting the youth involved in education. So partnering with organizations like that, I think, will be really key. So next, we're looking to the future. On the horizon, we really want to tap into the European market as well. Right now, we really want to focus on the United States and create a stronghold there, but then soon in the future, maybe by 2010 or 2012, we would like to tap into the European market using the same strategies that we are using in the United States, but also having a more focused approach on their regional identity through sports and other things that they have pride in. Another thing that's on the horizon is global classroom technology. This chart shows that in the forecasted future, between 2010 and 2015, there's going to be a huge rise in technology in classrooms. So for example, being able to use your cell phone to click through the slides like you would use this clicker here, or having classroom monitors and things of that nature to have an interactive learning experience and to really support education and prepare our young people for technology, which is something that they're going to need in everyday life. So our final recommendations are laid out here. We really want to stay competitive with our pricing in the markets as we are right now.
We definitely don't want to undermine the importance of R&D. As we were saying, it's the focal point of the corporation to be able to figure out what is going on in society, what are the people thinking about, how can we redevelop our industry, how can we redevelop our market and exploit it into the future.
And also we want to focus on the concentrated niche marketing strategy, just to focus on African Americans at first, because that gives us a competitive advantage for Samsung and Sony, and then to lead on to mass marketing as our competitors.
And finally, keeping a strong focus on corporate responsibility. This has really worked in the BRIC nations to endear us in the hearts and minds of our customers, and it shows that we care about the communities and we want to support them as well.
So the strengths of our analysis is that we have a great R&D, we have great R&D investment right now. Also, we have our niche marketing strategy that's definitely going to put us in the forefront of our competitors. Our weaknesses would include right now just the economy. The economy right now is affecting us. The opportunities would be our brand extension. So, as my colleague mentioned, Samsung, Sony, they have PlayStations, they have different tablets and different devices that are out there right now that we don't have. So that would be something that we would need to focus on. And then as far as our threats are concerned, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with our weaknesses in that the economy isn't where it needs to be right now, but after we conduct some more research, we'll be able to give you guys a better analysis of that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We appreciate it. We now like to open the floor for questions.
You said you were going to increase the research and development. So the price tag.
We don't have the research at the moment to put a price tag on it, but we expect that if the investment stays where it is currently, it's likely to have the same effect on profits. So if we increase the investment that we have in that department, the same type of trend will happen.
And by coming down on the emerging nations, are you going to increase for the developing nations? Is that what you're insinuating with 1 and 2?
Most likely we will. We really want to try to cut more like production costs than transferring that cost to our consumers. So we want to still remain competitive where we are, and try to through supply chain management and other techniques try to cut a little bit on our production costs to give us more of the budget to really get a foothold in the United States.
If you go through all of this, all that, what's it going to do to our kind of top line sales and our bottom line profit? Would you give an estimate of, if you go through and do all these, you're successful, how much is it going to increase sales? Will that in turn increase
We're very optimistic that it is going to increase sales. Now, we don't have the exact breakdown right
But we
now.
can definitely get that information down and get it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. But by creating this really focused, target, niche market, we believe that whatever cost that we take, whatever risk that we take, will, have.
We'll get the return on investment. We feel that this concentrated marketing approach is completely different from what our competitors are doing. So as she said, to be very optimistic, we believe that we'll get a large ROI on our return.
Looking at this niche market, did you find that African American consumers are more loyal, less loyal? What sort of loyalty do they have to the products that they use?
Sure.
Now?
They're actually demonstrating a lot of loyalty. It's a market that can be somewhat fickle, but once you are with them and once they've accepted you, and as we're white, it can be something that's loyal and something that lasts generations. And there's definitely research to back that up. Didn't produce any on my slide, but I'd be happy to send it to you later.
So if they're loyal, then that means that they're now using products, what, Sony and Samsung products?
Mm.
So how do you, if you talk about that this community is a very loyal community, what special, I mean, you mentioned some things in your presentation that is going to take them away, but it's, how did you determine how much money you'll need to put into gaining their loyalty, and how have you made some estimations about the profit that will result in?
As my colleague was stressing the corporate responsibility aspect, I feel that would bring some type of loyalty of the people. When you create a device or a product, and not only do you do that, but you create a YMCA for example, or a Boys and Girls Club that houses the TVs that you produce, you not only are providing that community with a product, but now you're providing them with a chance to reduce crime, for example. So we would get loyalty from our corporate responsibility by making sure our philanthropy matches our innovation.
Right. And by the way, that's something our competitors haven't really capitalized on, especially Sony. They haven't really shown any interest in corporate responsibility.
You're gonna have to couple that with an awful lot of marketing to show the community, not only the African American community, but the broader community, that that is what they're doing. And that's gonna take a big budget of marketing to get that message out. The logic sounds good, but you gotta back the logic up and the strategy with money.
And we definitely be happy to go home later today and kind of crunch those numbers and figure out how we're going to take money out of one department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta tag it to somebody.
right.
Did you look at pricing at all? I know a little bit about LG's product. They seem to be less expensive in the stores that I know that carry the brand.
Well, I think,
Did you compare pricing?
well, in today's world, I think LG is priced under some of the competitors, but in 2007, their biggest issue is that they were overpriced compared to Samsung and Sony.
Now, go ahead.
Your research was really good, some of the statistics that you had that captures up your strategy. However, I did notice that the timing of some of that research is outdated. So it's 2005, 2003, 2007. Technology moves so fast. So what's popular today could be something totally different even.
Well, we were basing this on the
The case
about.
Yeah.
data.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so my second question is, what are some risks involved in implementing your strategy? Did you think through the risks and then how to mitigate those risks?
Well,
To begin, just as the risk that we saw when we were in emerging markets with bad economic conditions, we saw other corporations leaving and fleeing, and as to juxtapose that, we stayed and weathered the storm, and were able to become leaders in that particular country. I would suggest we do the same thing in the developed nation of America, is just to weather this storm that is an economic downturn.
We definitely have a financial risk with moving around some of our money to really focus on marketing, but we definitely believe that it's worth it. I mean, this election coming up is going to be a huge, way and really focusing on communities that, sometimes are quite frankly ignored, especially as far as high-end products. They don't always want to see, people of color like really celebrating that. You've heard about that with other high-end products, but we are not going to do that. And we have seen with the forecast of minorities on the rise, and African Americans and Latinos and other minorities as well.
Are you gonna do a kind of a big bang approach and try to do all these recommendations in 1 year, or start them all the same year? Or are you gonna do some kind of a phased approach?
It's definitely going to be phased. So initially, we're just going to start in targeting the African Americans through the subscriptions, because the election is in 2008, so it's next year, it's coming up. So we want to approach that first, and then moving forward, we'll add the subscriptions through the MP3s, and we'll continue to move forward. Also, one thing that we did not mention is that the personal consumer electronics is also part of our markets. At this point, because of the way the economy is, we don't feel that it's in our best interest to enter the U.S. with that strategy. So maybe in a couple of years, 3 to 5, we can start implementing some of our brand extensions.
I would suggest that you really be optimistically cautious in your approach and have a watchdog constantly looking at your numbers.